Good morning, people of the universe. Hello. So, for today, I will share how I created this customer risk analysis dashboard. So, here you can see the churn data of an internet service company. Churn, by the way, is the number or measurement of the customers that are likely to leave the company or cancel their service. So, there are a lot of information here. Let's start on the left side. So you will see like the total customers, the churn rate, the number of churn, the yearly charges, the number of tech and admin tickets. Here at the top, we have three main filters. So the churn, yes or no, the type of internet service, so as the type of contract. Now here in the middle, we have three charts. So it shows the churn by internet service, the number of customers, and the monthly charges by internet service. And below, the chart shows like the type of contract of the customers, their years of contract, so as their payment method. So the dashboard, like for example, I choose here or I filter one data. Here, let's say fiber optic. So it should show like the total customers that has fiber optic service, and then the number of churn, I mean the rate and the number of churn, their yearly charges, and so on and so forth. And so for this lesson, I have broken down them into several parts or steps. First, let me show you the tools and materials that you need. And number one, of course, is a Microsoft Excel. The version of my Microsoft Excel, FYI, is LTSC Professional Plus 2021. And also, we will be needing a PowerPoint and a data set. So I will be, or you should see the link of the data set in the description of this video. And of course, the objective of this tutorial is for us to learn how to create this dashboard using Microsoft Excel. So the steps I have broken down them into several lessons. So first, we will be creating a background image in PowerPoint, and then we will be importing the data in Excel. And in creating the dashboard, here are the basically important steps. So we will be entering measurement using DAX. DAX is a data analysis expression. And then we're going to be inserting pivot tables, slicer, and we will be reporting slicer connections and format or redesign the slicer. And then we will be inserting different types of chart. So these are bar chart, pie, combo, big number chart. And I will be showing you also how to clean and format charts. And without further ado, I'm so excited to share you this tutorial. Let's go! Now let's begin in creating our background image in PowerPoint. So please open your PowerPoint in your computer. Mine is already open. So automatically there will be one slide that will show up, and just delete all the text boxes. And then let's edit the background color for this slide. And solid fill, let's choose something gray. And then from insert, go to shapes and choose the line and draw a horizontal line. And the outline color would be white. And let's insert a shape, a rectangular shape. Here on the left side, the color would be black, outline, no outline. and then another shape. And so let's group this line in this rectangular shape here. And Control C and paste. Let's increase the height a little bit. All right. Let's see if it's K3. Now, once it's done, go to File and save the slide as JPEG. So here I have the dashboard BG image. So I'm not going to save this one. And once you're able to save it, go back to our Excel window. And then I'm going to just insert a new sheet. Then go to Insert, Pictures, this device. Choose the background image that we have just created. Click Insert. Go back to View, uncheck the grid lines, and just resize the image according to your preference. And there you go. We now have the background image for our dashboard. Alright, so the next step is importing data to our Microsoft Excel. So once you're able to download the data set from the link in the description of this video, go to, let me just create a new blank workbook so you could see like the step-by-step on how I was able to import the data. So go to, let me just unhide, go to Power Pivot, data, and you should have this option, Manage Data Model. And then it will show Get External Data and choose From Other Sources. Scroll down, look for Excel file and hit Next. And browse the churn data set. Click Open. And make sure the Use First Row as Column Headers is checked. Click Next. And this should also be checked. And hit Finish. And close. There you go. So you should see the churn data set, and that has several columns: customer ID, tenure, phone service, multiple lines, internet service, contract, payment method, monthly charges, total charges, the number of admin, ticket and tech ticket, churn, and last is the loyalty column. Alright, so what's our next step? That is enter measurement using DAX or data analysis expressions. So I'll go back to your main Excel window. So if you're on the home tab, go to Power Pivot, go to measures, click and choose new measure. And there should be a pop-up window, and wherein it should allow you to enter measure name, description, and formula. Basically, we are doing or adding a measurement in this dashboard because there are some data in the dashboard that's we can calculate them through pivot or formula, but once we choose a filter, it doesn't change accordingly. So we need the help of DAX. So the measure name for this one is the churn rate. And the description, basically we will be getting the number of yes churn, those customers that are likely to leave, the total numbers, divide by the number of yes churn over the total number of customers. So the formula is, again, I've mentioned divide, so it's going to be divide. So numerator and denominator. So the numerator is the number of yes churn. How do we get that? So let's calculate count. And that is on the churn column. This is the column with a yes or no value. And count the rows wherein the value equals to yes. So in Excel or Google spreadsheets, that this is actually like the count if formula. Then close parenthesis, then comma. And of course, the denominator, calculate count. Churn column, all selected. And then churn. And let's check if we are right. So no errors in formula. We're good to proceed. Click OK. And let's go back to our Power Pivot window. And you should see the churn rate measurement that we have just created. Let me maximize this column. And let's format this to percentage. Click this percent icon. So churn rate shows 26.54%. And then let's go back to the main Excel window. We will create another measurement. So this is the number of churn. Description, it's literally the number of churn. So it's going to be calculate count. Choose the churn column. Churn in. And let's see if I got this right. Perfect. Then hit OK. Let's go back to Power Pivot window. And you should see number of churn is 1,869. And we can actually now close this window. And then please don't forget to save your work. Right, so the next step that we're going to do is to insert pivot tables. In this dashboard, we actually have, or I actually created a total of 13 pivot tables. And I'm going to walk you through on how each of the tables was created. So you're just going to have to basically insert a new sheet on your Excel. And then let me just show the tabs. From the tab, so at the top, click insert and choose pivot table, and you should be selecting the use this workbook's data model and hit OK. And on the right side, so you should see pivot chart fields and the data set that we imported earlier. And when you hit this arrow, it will be expanded, and you should see the columns that it has, so as the two measurements that we created. So for this one, customer ID table, it is composed of the count of customers. So this is the customer ID column, and it's suited on the, or it's dropped in the values section. So go back to your pivot, and then click and drag and go to values. And so at the top, you would see pivot table analyze, pivot table name, and rename the table count of customers. So that's what you actually need to do for all the pivot tables that you see on the screen. Very easy. So the second pivot is, let me show you the composition. So the churn column on the rows, and again customer ID on the values. So on your first pivot, just highlight and Control C and paste, and then look for the churn column and drag it to the rows. And again, rename number of churn. And then just follow basically the same steps. Control C and then copy. And let me show you the columns that each pivot table has. So for this, the churn rate pivot, drag churn on the rows, then the measurement that we created, churn rate on the values. So as you can see, it has the same value. It's the same. As you can see, it has the same values. It's all right. It's supposed to be that way. And then later on, we will be needing this values. So reference, basically, it's just, so on column B7, hit equals and reference it to cell C D7 and hit enter. And so that is the third pivot. And then the fourth is just the churn count. So drag churn column on the rows. And then the second measure we created, churn count on the values. And also reference again cell D12, like this one. And the fifth pivot table. So it only has one parameter or column. So the total charges, drag it to the values section. Sum of admin tickets. So I named this total charges, by the way. Now sum of admin. So that's going to be the admin number of admin ticket column to the values. And tech ticket, it's the number of tech tickets column on the value section as well. And then 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. So the 8th pivot table is the count by internet service. So on the rows, drag the internet service column and again the customer ID column to the values section. And then row labels for the internet churn is the internet service column, and then the churn rate on the values. And internet monthly charges, a pivot is internet service, and it should be the monthly charges on the values section. Okay, last three pivot tables. So go to contract, put it in the rows section, and then the customer ID here on the values. So there are two columns on the value section, and also the churn rate. So this will automatically be added. So again, there are only three columns for this pivot: the customer ID, contract, and the churn rate. And for the payment method, a table or pivot. So that's the payment method column, monthly charges, and the churn rate. So it should be here. It should be like the count of customer ID first and then the churn rate. So you can actually just drag the values to sort. And here, so sum of monthly charges first and then churn rate. And lastly, the loyalty churn. And that is the loyalty column on the rows section. And on the values is the monthly charges and the measurement churn rate. And the format, so this should be, go to home and choose English currency peso, and remove the decimal places by clicking this icon here. So this is add, this is decrease. Do the same for the monthly charges columns. And then for the percentage, we need to have two decimal places. If it's in decimal, format it to percentage, click this icon. And then again, to increase or decrease the decimal, click these, either of the two icons. So do that on all the churn rate columns that's involved to any of our pivot tables. So that's it. Next is we're going to be inserting slicers. By the way, so if your pivot tables happen to have grand totals, so just click any of the pivot table, go to design, and you should see grand total icon, and choose off for rows and columns. And all grand total should be removed on each of the pivot tables that we have. And just like what I've said, the next step is insert slicer. Go back to our pivot tables, and then click again one either of the pivot tables. Go to insert, look for the slicer, and so this is going to be our filter. So that is the churn and internet service and the contract, and hit OK. So we have three set of slicers, and report slicer connections. So click the churn slicer, go to the slicer tab, and you should see report connections, and check all. So this is not included. Let me just delete the sheet 2. So go back to slicer, report connections, and you should check all the pivot tables listed in this window. So again, total of the pivot tables is 13. So check every tables that you see and click OK. Do the same for the internet service slicer. So click or select report connections, check, click OK. And then for the contract report connections, check. Why it doesn't have a check? And click OK. And then select all three slicers and Control X to cut. Go to your dashboard and paste it. So as you can see here, my slicers are at the top. So we're now here in formatting or redesigning our slicer. So click the churn, resize it, go to slicer and let's do 2 columns for the internet. Let's do 3. Let's minimize this a little bit. And for the contract slicer, this is also 3 columns. And then to change like the font and the color, click all the or select all 3 slicers. So from slicer tab, you should see these icons here. I actually have a custom design here. Let me show you how I did it. So choose, I think that's, so choose this dark gray slicer style and right click duplicate. Go to format and go to font. So I have here Basrif font size 8, click OK. And then choose the one that you have just created. There you go. So whatever font you prefer, just choose it in your end. And to align them, select all 3 slicers by pressing Control on your keyboard and clicking them one by one. Then slicer, choose or click the align icon. And let's do align button. There you have it. Okie dokie, we are almost done. So we are now in what step are we? So inserting chart. So going back to our pivot tables. So we have here first is the bar chart, and this is churn by internet service. So that is the pivot table internet churn. So highlight this pivot, go to insert recommended chart, and then choose the column or bar chart, hit OK. And then next, let's just set aside that. Meanwhile, and then number of customers by internet service. So that is the count by internet service pivot. Go to click that pivot table, insert and choose pie chart. And then the third is sum of monthly charges. So that pivot table is the internet monthly charges table. So insert, then choose pie chart again. Okay, let's just set aside the first three charts and then type of contract. So that is the pivot contract churn. So insert, and this is going to be the combo chart. So the count of customer ID, it should be clustered column, and the churn rate is the line. And make sure here in the secondary axis column, this clustered column is checked, and then hit OK. And next is the years of contract. So this is the loyalty churn. So insert recommended chart. So combo chart again. And the line should be the sum of monthly charges. So choose line, and the churn rate should be the clustered column. And the secondary axis, hold on, let me, not able to uncheck. Okay, line, clustered column, and then checked, and hit OK. Sum of monthly charges is the line, all right? Resize, and the payment method. So this is the last pivot table, insert recommended chart combo, and so the sum of monthly charges is the line, churn rate is the clustered column. All right, so we have now the first 6 charts in our dashboard. So how do we clean and format this chart? Let's start with this one. So click one of the chart, and you should see this plus icon here. Click it and uncheck the legend, grid lines, and the chart title. And please check the data labels. And then this button here, right click and choose hide all filled buttons and chart. And then right click the chart and go to format chart area and click the label on the y-axis. Then you should see this axis icon. Go to numbers. We will be removing the decimal places. So the category should be percentage. The decimal places, change it to 0 and hit enter. And changing the background. So this paint icon, fill, choose solid fill, choose the gray one, border, no line. And for the font color and style, go to home. I'll be using the bash script, but however you pronounce it. Then font color is white, and size, let's do 8. And please do the same for the other 2 pie charts. And once you're done, Control X or to cut, then paste it on your dashboard. Like that. So you should achieve this format or design. This one, change the color palette. So click the chart, go to design, and change it to, I use this color palette here, the second. And then for the combo charts, it's basically the same. So click, but we will be keeping the legend, but we will be putting it on top. So uncheck the grid lines, check the data labels, remove the buttons, and okay, so the label 0, enter, change the background. Oh, no. Let me control C. Okay, select the whole chart border, no line. Change the fonts. 8. And then let's just show the the percentage. So highlight one of like the price value, go to this icon here, label options, then uncheck the value, and then of course Control X, then paste it on your uh, dashboard. And the and let us remove the decimal places again. So this should be percentage. Change it to 0. Hit enter. And please do the same for the other two combo charts. And so I'm just gonna format the remaining charts and fast forward the video. So for us to for the charts to have like the same height, so select each of the chart. Let's try, then go to this icon, size height. Let's try 4.5. Hit enter. Mhm. I think this is okay. Then select shape, format, go to align bottom. So they are aligned horizontally. Now let's do the same to the other three. 4.5 shape, format. Let's just adjust the width a little bit. All right. So now we're gonna insert title, chart titles here. So go to insert to text box, customer risk analysis. Select all text, white. Okay, insert text box. What's the name? Churn by internet sales. And then copy this text box, then paste, and then put uh, chart titles for all the chart, of course. So I'm just gonna mute and fast forward the video. Alright, we're almost done. So next we're gonna be creating the big number charts here that we see on the left side. Let me just uh, drink water. Be back. Alright, so we are almost done. And so the last chart is the big number chart. Um, in Excel, there is no, or I can't see any big number or card chart here available. So we will improvise, and this is gonna be like text boxes and shapes. So let's begin with inserting shapes with round corners, and let's remove the fill. The outline is something light gray, and the 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Let's do 5 of these. Okay, so just simply copy and paste. Let's reduce the height. and then insert text boxes. And these values are referenced to uh, cells here in our pivot table sheet. So for the total customers, it's a pivot table cell A2. And so on the formula bar, enter equals, go to pivot table sheet, and click cell A2 or whichever cell your customer or count of customer ID is located. Now, we need to delete the formula here because if we hit enter, there's going to be an error message. So let's delete from here up to this point and enter A2 and hit enter. There must be an apostrophe there and remove the fill of the text box. Edit the font size. And remove the outline as well. And insert another text box for the title. So this is total customers. Paint. Let us reduce the font size. And then align center and group the three shapes. So that's gonna be what we need to be we need to do on the other big number chart. So I'm gonna show you uh, where these values are referenced to. So this one is to B7, which is this, and for the churn B12, which is this one. For the yearly charges, C17, which is this one. Okay, number of tech tickets here, C21. Sorry, C24, and admin is C21. There. So I'm just gonna create the big numbers. I mean, reference the cells, and I'm gonna fast forward the video. All right. All right. So final touches. Let's by the way change. Mm, let's change the mhm, color palette. And so I downloaded icons in the internet from the internet from I think I forgot the website. Yeah, it's so you can download from any websites that you're familiar with. So I downloaded icons here, platicon.com. So let's insert. All right, congratulations. We're done. Give yourself a round of applause. You're able to create a customer risk analysis dashboard in Microsoft Excel. I hope you've learned a lot from this video tutorial. Thank you so much for watching. And please don't forget to like and subscribe for more videos like this. I hope to see you next time. And again, this is Emily. Thank you and bye bye.